Hello and welcome to another infrequent Dark Days Radio Twitch stream. We had Christmas in the way, so obviously lots of things going on. We went to Boston.
Yep.
That's on one of the episodes. I think episode 96. Yeah, I'm going to say 96. Maybe it's 96. We met with Mike in Boston. We met up with Garrett and Tyler from Reverie Studios. They were talking about their Cthulhu Mythos-inspired LARP event that they're doing in Providence.
Yeah.
Called... Well, I can't think of the name of the thing. It's called... that's terrible. Anyway, you should check out that episode. You'll find out more information about that if you're in the US. Since then, we've had another episode out, which was Mike at PAX Unplugged, talking to Crystal Mazer about Chicago by Night. We've also had my audio out from Dragon Meet before, just the day after I got back from Boston, because I'm insane. And that's me talking to Chris Allen and David Brookshaw about Werewolf the Forsaken, about Deviant the Renegades, and Mummy the Curse. There's lots of interesting new information there. And since then, the next episode that's been out just now, today, if you're watching us now and you've not listened to it, go, you can go have a listen to it. And hello to Elves of Zion, who's on our Discord. So what was I going to say? The new episode's out today, which was me and James talking to Mike, because Mike came all the way from Boston to the UK, so he went to London.
Not just to see us. Not just to see us,
no. And came up to Steel City, Sheffield. And there's that episode is light on the specific World of Darkness stuff. We researched the night before some Sheffield-inspired secret frequencies, and there's some crazy stuff there. So the aim of what we're going to talk about today is we got kindly sent to us some interesting preview of some things. I don't believe they're quite yet on sale yet.
I'm not certain. I haven't checked recently.
We will make sure we know that. I will look that up in a moment as Sam explains it. So what have we got?
Okay, so it's Belladonna Cosmetics.
It is Belladonna Cosmetics. They sent us these.
They sent us the official Masquerade Vampire Clans lipsticks, liquid lipsticks. So they all kind of look similar here. But
shall I take one up to the camera?
As you can see,
or you've got nicer fingers than me.
As you can see, they have stickers on denoting each clan. So there you go. That one's Toreador.
That's Toreador. That's correct.
Yep.
Because the symbols have changed a little bit.
Yep. So that's how you know which one's which. And also as you can see, that one, the Toreador, is a very true red. So that's what the packaging looks like. So there's 7 of those.
So we've got Toreador, Anarch, not Anarch, Bruja. I saw the Anarch symbol.
Yeah.
Anarchy symbol.
Malkavian. And that was, sorry, I'm not very good at this.
The new symbol's Nosferatu,
Nosferatu.
Ventru, and Gangrel and Tremere.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, it's a bit hard to look at the colours here, isn't it? So I'm going to bring up, and Sam can talk us through the colours.
I did some swatches earlier.
So let's see if this works. There you go, guys.
Okay.
So going from...
If we go from the left, because I can go up the list here.
So making sure it's not back to front with you guys, because I can't quite tell with this bit. Anyway,
blue.
So
We're
the
going
blue
from
end.
Blue. Yep.
We've got the blue end is
Malkavian. So that is kind of a true sort of navy blue. It, in the packaging it is, at least. On me it looks kind of a bit more of a sea blue, kind of an ocean blue. And then next to that one we've got quite a surprising colour, I think, compared to the other ones, which is sort of pale silvery green, and that's Nosferatu. And then the black is Bruja.
yeah.
The darker orangey sort of red there is Tremere. The true red, as I showed you earlier, that's Toreador. The sort of dark brownish beige tan colour, that's Gangrel. And the true purple at the end there is Ventru.
Okay, cool. So that's all the colours there.
Yep.
Okay, good. So, from what I can tell of them, most of them have a really matte finish.
Yeah, I think the most matte ones are the last three that I showed there. So that's the Ventru purple, the Gangrel brown, and the Toreador red.
Okay.
And those are also the ones which seem to form a solid colour quite easily without much effort. The darker Tremere red, as tends to be the thing with darker colours, is a bit streakier, so I think that you'd need a few more layers to kind of build up that colour. Same with the black, because, you know, black has been something that's kind of evaded cosmetics companies for a long time, and only recently have we been seeing sort of more solid true blacks for goths to wear, as unusual colours have become more popular. The Nosferatu one, it doesn't look that wearable. Like, for me, if I was to wear green, like I've got green hair currently, I'd probably wear like a dark teal or something. But I think that could look kind of funky actually with this hair, or if you were doing a particular kind of mermaidy sort of look, that would look really, really good. Same with the Malkavian, the navy ocean sort of blue colour. You could have that a little lighter, and, you know, sort of that goes on a little bit streaky as well, but I'm sure it comes up fine once you layer it. So there's nothing especially bad about any of the formulas here. Like, basically, I think you've just got a problem with the sort of brighter, more solid colours that are a bit unusual, that, you know, they're going to take a bit more effort. Because most of them, apart from the shimmery green one, are very matte colours, I would also suggest that, you know, especially if you're prone to dry lips, you know, make sure you exfoliate your lips beforehand, and you also wear lip balm underneath, you know, to prevent any sort of wrinkling or, you know, a dry feeling on your lips. I've yet to actually try them on my lips, so I will update on the blog when I have tried them, and about the wear of each colour over a certain day. That might take me a while, because I've got a lot of lip colours and I cycle through them a lot. So my current favourite is Colourpop, so I'm wearing that a lot right now. Yeah, so as regards to the packaging, what I think is really, really cool is the way that, you know, it's black here, but then has a kind of like smoked effect towards the end, and it's clear, so you can see the colour. You can see the green one here, and the purple one stands out quite well as well. So that's how you can tell what you're looking at if you're not looking at the sticker. So you can grab a colour if you store them this way, then you can see the colours that you're looking at rather than the name of a colour, or you know, a sticker denoting the colour.
I store my paints that way around so I can see the colours.
That's how a lot of makeup gurus store their stuff. So yeah, that's kind of cool. I was saying how I don't know about the logistics of this, but if it was, you know, even cooler if got a visiting cat there.
Yeah.
If you maybe had them kind of like blood vials and you had them rounded as well, but there's nothing wrong with the square packaging. It's perfectly easy to open, as you can see. The applicator is a doe foot applicator, which is my preferred. I don't like brush applicators at all, and it's not one of those especially long, awkward doe foot applicators. It's just as you would expect, so that's all fine. One thing I would say, well, because you know these things have just come out basically, and there's always room for improvement. You know, the stickers of each clan, you know, are just like stickers at the moment, but I imagine that in the future, you know, this could become more of a permanent kind of print on the packaging and things like that. You know, this is always going to be the case with like indie brands and things, you know, which, you know, then sort of gain traction and then things like that. But there's nothing especially wrong with the packaging. It's, you know, and it seems that I'm just having a check again on this one. So this is the black one. That you get quite a bit of product, I think. So it seems that, you know, it's actually quite good for the money. I can't actually remember the prices at the moment because obviously I got these for free. So I will update on everything in the blog, or things like, you know, links and stuff. I will provide all of that for the people who are interested in purchasing these. If these are not online at the moment, I know that they have other things that will probably catch your fancy as well.
I think the production on those wasn't done until sometime like late October.
Yeah.
Maybe a bit sooner, but I know they should. I'm sure they're measured on sale. I'll check that in a moment. Okay. The only other thing you said was that the
scent of them. So I am particularly sensitive to like smells and stuff. It's not unpleasant, but just to say that it's you know, kind of to me sort of a more artificial bubblegum sort of smell, which can be quite typical for lipsticks. My current lipsticks either have I think they have like either no scent or a scent that fades very, very quickly. As I said, I haven't tried these wearing on my lips yet, so I don't know how quickly the scent fades. It probably does just as well as any other lipstick. But yeah, you know, it's that's the thing when you buy obviously Indian online, you don't know what it's going to smell like and things. But yeah, nothing especially bad, just to give a heads up to that. I would prefer myself, if there were a scent, to be more sort of, you know, vanilla, very subtle sort of scent. But yeah, aside from that, that's my only complaint, really.
Fine. Okay. And then, because they're also doing...
I did get sent some other things.
Yeah, because they're doing a Vampire the Masquerade themed palette.
Palette, yes.
I was looking for a word.
You know the word.
And
you know what
each
a paint
section,
is.
I believe, is themed to a different sect. So there is I think there's a Camarilla section, a Anarch section, and maybe like a generic vampire section.
Yeah.
But obviously those weren't quite ready to be sent. So they sent an example of these two. So what we've got here.
Yeah. So this is a palette which I imagine, I think it's, you know, for more kind of extreme looks and sort of special effects if you wanted to. There's a lot of shimmery type of colours in here. And it looks like this.
So that's Endless Night Vampire Ball. So that's one of the actual vampire balls that goes on. Like I think they run in the US a lot.
Okay, so I will try and show this very carefully because unfortunately my cat just knocked this off the sofa before we started filming and cracked the black thing. So luckily I've got this thing in here.
It's not the cat that used to walk by, it was the other.
It was the other cat. So I just don't want to spill any.
Especially
yeah, so
it's black.
As you can just about see there, it's like, you know, a little paint box there, and you've got you know, some very shimmery colours. This is a very glittery, I really like this sort of charcoal grey colour with a lot of silver sort of micro glitter in there, and also this very solid black down here. And yeah, you've got everything in there. You've got like a pink and a darker pink and a rusty orange colour and a very gold and white and red and purple and, you know, shimmery purple and blue and shimmery green. So yeah, that's a lot of stuff there. When I get a chance, I will actually play with this as well and possibly do some swatches for the blog and things like that. So that's the one thing that we got. And this is the other one, which I think is a highlighter palette, and that's the High Priestess. And I really like this shimmery packaging here. It's like holographic. And then if you look at this, so we've got this range of shades, and because it's not labelled on here, I think yeah, you could use this as all sorts of different highlight. So yeah, we've got a lot of weird funky colours going on in there, so I am looking forward to playing with that when I have a chance. It also has the ingredients list on the back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
and then we're going to keep on the vampire thing, but you got
yeah,
black on your hands.
Yeah, because of the cat.
Black,
Yeah.
like the cousin of Clams. If you don't know the reference, don't worry about it. It's a very old episode of Far Show. Right, so the other thing we've got, I got in the post, some of you will have these obviously, some of you may not have got them, and we're wondering what they're like, is the Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition dice set. There you go, okay. So, as you can notice on this, look at the colour of the red, they have black pips. We don't have that here, we've got a more of a candy red with white pips. Now, I believe this already comes down to a manufacturing choice, because
There's
white is more
visibility
issues. If you don't know Modiphius very well, they also do a miniatures game for Fallout, very popular franchise. And so when you look at that, their choice of dice colour and pips, because they've got various different dice for different things, and the way they denote it in the books about different actions and the range rulers is for the hard of people with sight difficulties. So they're actually quite aware of these things with their design. Now, saying that, you know, you get 20 dice, 5 red, the rest black, 2 of which are regular D10s. I think, or actually, you've been using these mainly on a RV5 game. I mean, it's very quick to read the result.
Yeah, once you get used to what you're looking at, yeah.
I know, because it throws you a bit, because you've been using regular D10s
yeah.
for a while, and you're used to playing Chronicles of Darkness, where you're like 8 or higher.
Yeah.
And, you know, Vampire 5th edition is 6 or higher as a success. But even then, I still like them. They're not as weighty.
They're just not very weighty, which, you know, was a bit surprising.
But then again, you are getting 20 for, I believe, about a tenner.
Yeah.
And Chessex dice are about a tenner for 10. So, you know, you get what you pay for, and if you want more dice, you get more dice. So that's that. And then we've got some other things we'll get to. We'll talk about some general gaming stuff. So, how's Vampire going, Sam? How's our Vampire the Masquerade Chronicle going?
It's pretty cool. My character just found out that he's related to another vampire from Chris's Dark Ages game many years ago.
Many moons ago. So, for context, I played a Dark Ages vampire game where I played a French noble called Grégoire de Morangias. I know it's mostly not meant to be a Morangias because it's all, you know, faux French. You know, you don't know much maybe, or you research. You want something that sounds cool. I chose something cool, and of course we played through things like Bitter Crusade, all the classic books for Dark Ages, for Vampire the Dark Ages, and eventually as a Malkavian, I didn't play him as a fish Malk. Let's be honest. I played him as he was obsessed with his journal, so he always had to write in it before the sun went down, and he eventually could do madness through music, he could do madness through writing, and became like a prophet of Cain, because he was part of the Cainite heresy, and I think essentially retired to like France.
The thing is, what's funny is that I made my current vampire character whilst having that knowledge in the back of my head, and somehow sort of subconsciously created a future ancestor of his by the way that my character kind of gets visions and stuff and writes things on walls and things like that. So you know, that was just kind of funny.
Yeah. So there's a whole thing about how Gregoire eventually, and this is stuff that's actually detailed in Make Blood Boil, which is the free V5 intro scenario we've got that's been playtested a lot. In that, you can get information about Manchester, how the vampires, Canine Heresy arrived there, and so forth. So what we're playing through is that kind of information. So yeah, you've just had a big reveal that your character's related to Gregoire, and
well, I knew that because he told
but
me.
everyone else
everyone
didn't.
else was a bit shocked.
And
So
it's
that
quite
was a
important
good
because
moment.
we've got the whole, rather than having like a political war between the Anarchs and the Camarilla, we've really got those two factions caught up in what is a religious war between the Canine Heresy, which you'll begin to learn a bit more about,
Yeah.
and the Cult of Mithras, which you've not had a run-in with just yet. So essentially, I think someone's going to try and convert you all to a particular church, one or the other. And then we also got brand new players to the group. So we have yourself, we have staff playing a Ventry, drug dealer. We have Mark playing a Ventry kind of money launderer, and Rob playing a Nosferatu kind of Vinnie Jones thug. And we've now got 3 more players, which
Extra 2 was kind of a last minute.
which
surprise.
shows you how quick it is to make. In V5 it's really quick to make new characters.
Yeah, they didn't have characters, but Chris had a couple of concepts ready that they could work on, and I think it was about 6 p.m. that we got a message saying if they could join too.
Yeah.
And we were saying that the character creation would be quite quick. So when they arrived, it was like 45 minutes to an hour, getting both their characters done, and then just finalising some things for the other characters, and then going into the game. So it wasn't like it took forever, and we had a whole session of trying to work out a couple of people's new characters.
Yes. Yeah, we were doing that, so it worked quite quickly.
So if you have some idea just to where to kickstart it from, or anything like an occupation, or a motive or something like that, or even just the clan that you want to be in, it can start off and just be very quick.
the kind of story path that you can build, because you have how do you hunt, all those things, your predator type, all helps build that
and
along.
your connections to humans and things like that.
Yeah,
as well,
and you don't need to detail them all straight off. I mean, we're gonna finish this current episode, and then we're gonna go on a bit of a hiatus and run a bit of Warhammer, and then we'll come back to Vampire, or we might come back to something else that's turned up in the post recently. Ooh, Changeling. Oh god, yeah, Changeling the Lost 2nd edition. Yes.
It's very pretty.
So, I am incredibly happy to finally get this in the post, because I would say in Chronicles of Darkness, this is my first love.
Yeah, I remember when you first got Changeling.
Yeah.
And you were just so thrilled with how beautiful it was, and gosh, what year was that?
It's when we were in Warwick, so it's going to be 2010.
Yeah.
2011. So, so I know there's been a lot with the dev of there's been a lot of different dev work done on Changeling. It had different people working on it at different times. I'm not going to get into that. I'm quite happy with what we've got, because it explains a lot more about the courts. It simplified the pledge system, which was it was quite difficult on the fly to work out pledges where you catch someone in some sort of deal that you want them to do, or you wanted to work out how you could lock them into pledging to you and having to do something, or they couldn't harm you, or something trickstery like, which is very Fey-like. Of course, we've got some retcons to do, because we've got huntsmen now.
Yeah.
So I think some of the Fey that you've mostly faced were actually huntsmen. That's not a huge change. We'll get over it. The thing that I really do like about this is that this has that kind of silvery finish, which is similar to the 1st edition. Whereas if you get vampire, werewolf, or Mage 2nd edition print on demand, currently through Drive-Thru RPG, they don't come to this standard. So I'm hoping, now they've got this and they've got this print run being done, that they'll actually go back and do the other 3 to this level as well. I would really like that.
Yeah.
So that's another cool thing. And then what? So we're gonna possibly go back into Venice with that.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing. So we are planning, once it's available on the Storyteller's Vault, is Changeling the Lost, Venice Unmasked. Now that's been up for about 8 years. Our take on Venice.
And needs some updating and editing.
It needs another edit.
Yeah.
I mean, it's again a kind of love child kind of it's that it encapsulates everything I know about what we know about Venice, about our game, our setting. It's great that James has moved up to Sheffield because he's taken part in our Venice game before, so on a one shot. So we'll be bringing back Stitches.
One thing that I'd really love to incorporate is because of the sort of recent years of really destructive tourism in Venice from the cruise ships that are coming in, and to kind of explore that, but kind of in a fun way, with the Fae or with the court sort of imposing tolls in certain places, for like visiting kind of things, and because that's what they're trying to do is have sort of more like tourism charges and things like that, and I'm not really certain how we could do that, but
I have an idea for that. I think because one of the things in the setting is that Venice is this haven for refugees in the past, and you've got the Grand Canal, so the reflection of the Grand Canal in the hedge is a grand trod. Now trods are useful because they're a way to escape the hedge for Fae to arrive, but also they're a great way of getting into the hedge to travel to other places. So it's kind of like this nexus.
Yeah.
And the other great thing about Venice is it's a great place to hide from the Fae because we have the Court of Carnival, which we'll be updating the rules of. Now Carnival is farewell to the flesh, and it's also about inversion. So there may well be some changes in the hierarchy because we had a certain Lord of Spring murdered by some means, and we've got a new Lord of Spring. Yep, we remember who he was. Yep. And so I can see there's being that we can work that element in. So that's changing. That'll be good to get back into. And then let's hop over to some other stuff. Things I've finished painting recently. So if you go on the blog, there's some pictures of Speed Freaks that I've painted up recently. We've been playing some of that. It's really fast to play, really easy. It's not like Gorka Morka, but it's a lot faster playing. A bit like X-Wing, but really random. I finally finished, because they've been in storage because we moved house, all of my, there you can see him, just about, there's better pictures on the blog anyway. I finished all the Stormcast Eternals, so they're part of the Warhammer Age of Sigmar, so that we'll finish on that topic in a minute. So I didn't do the gold armor because I hate the gold armor paint scheme GW did, so I went with this more
just got like gold accents.
Gold accents. So I've gone for this regal kind of red armor, so it has more of a centurion kind of feel to it, and it contrasts with the Griff Charger, which is in this blue. So they've got those done. All the Nighthawks are done. I really love the ghosties in Soul Wars. I think you quite like them. You tried painting a few for me.
Oh yeah, the wispy
dudes. And then the other thing I've been painting, I've started painting is, and warning, this guy is not friendly.
Not child friendly. Not safe for work.
So this is the Lion God for Kingdom Death. So you can see he's on this rock outcrop surrounded by lanterns. That's why you've got that white glow. He's got lanterns being held by arms that come over his side, and yes, those are rather tentacly, phallic-y appendages coming out of him. And he's got a whole campaign thing that upgrades the setting. He's got a face there. He's even got a. I'm not going to say it. You could say it. What does that look like?
That's not right.
That's not right. Yeah.
Like, so that I sent a picture to Chris, which was of you know,
The
ugly
medieval
cat paintings with human faces.
Yeah.
That's basically who he is.
Yeah. So that's all the airbrushing I did tonight. That took about an hour or so. And then I'm going to go with the more washes, layer up the details and so forth. But it's nice when you've got big monsters like that because you can just blast them with the airbrush. You can get quite a lot of work done. You can get an idea of what the finished object's going to be because you've laid down all the basic colours. Then, because it's been birthday time for me, I've got thank you Sam for my birthday present. So new releases that you'll be seeing that I'll be talking about, maybe a battle report. Ooh, a bat rep, that'll be good. For Adeptus Titanicus, we've got the new Reaver Titan. I will be getting the new Reaver Titan. That's the box for it. Don't worry. So the new Reaver Titan. Oh, it's past midnight, so yes, it is today. So I can have this. It's release day. Today is release day of all these things. So the Reaver Battle Titan. Yeah, screw it, man.
He
anyway,
was told
not to put them on the web, but it's actually past midnight, and today is release day, so I don't care now. Anyway, I pre-ordered it, and I wasn't going to go into the shop tomorrow, and I've got other things to do. So this one comes with some new weapons, so I'm going to magnetize these so they work with the other one, and it's okay kit to magnetize. I've got some other stuff to turn up, which is the other weapon kit for the Warlord Titan, and then
Sorry,
the other.
I'm just laughing so much that you were shaking it, and he was like, "Oh no, this is just the box. I don't have it."
Yeah.
Really don't have it.
I
There's
really don't
nothing
have it.
in this box.
And the other thing that is release day is Paint Stream of the Titan. Maybe we'll see what is a. Well, now I've tied up the room, I think I could do that. Like, I'm gonna spray it black. And you're just gonna watch a video of me dry brushing it silver to begin with. The other thing is Adeptus Titanicus Titan Death. So this is a campaign book, and it also has new rules for the Titan Legions. Which then leads us to what's the last thing? Not next episode. We're nearing episode. Whoa! Sorry, the screen went black on us. We're on episode 98 of Dark Days Radio. Episode 99 is we've got something planned. I think there's an interview going out that we have stored somewhere in the vault, and then episode 100, we are, Dark Days is also nearing 10 years old, which is amazingly old for a podcast, I guess. We're changing the format a bit of the show, so it'll be a bit more bite-sized for people because we do 2-hour-long podcasts generally in the past. So we're going to be changing things up a bit. You can looking at what other content. And we'll be covering Kindred of the East. Okay, so this book came out in, oh god, a long time ago. 1998, right? So this is classic White Wolf. It's retro. It's retro World of Darkness. It was from the year of the Lotus. So, we, in classic Dark Days Radio style, will be reviewing the book, but not just a full, oh, this is what's in the book, blah, blah, blah. We're going to be critically examining its contents and looking at how we can use it in V5 or in other games, because there is, let's be honest,
controversial content.
Yeah, I think the problem is that it's the same problem I have with that people have with World of Darkness Gypsies, is that I don't feel that it treats the East Asia in the right way, because it treats it as one big glob together, and it treats all their supernatural creatures together, like all the vampires there are all this. So, like, why? Here's the big question: why is it that people of East Asian heritage, when they die, come back as Kindred of the East, a Kaijin, which in essence isn't actually a kindred type vampire? They're actually more similar to the Risen in Wraith. So why is that? To me, I mean, I know there's other types of vampires, but the thing is that it feels harder in World of Darkness because Chronicles of Darkness, we can have our kindred, but it's also accepted there are other vampire species in the setting, and there are multiple types of vampires. And also, kindred in Vampire the Requiem don't have a single progenitor. So you've basically got different vampire legends that are all related to these different curses of vampires over the ages have converged on similar powers, similar mechanisms of how they operate. And I think that's because, like, could you imagine, like, say you've got in one part of the world they've got one way they treat the dead and how they understand death, and then another part of the world they've got another way they treat the dead and how they understand the underworld or whatever goes on. And then as cultures have come into contact over the ages, their combined culture and their combined mythologies have also caused the evolution of these vampires from these areas to converge. Now, this is why I think my problem is with Kindred East, and I think this is the same. I speak on behalf of most of the guys in Dark Days Radio as well. Is it just feels like super special anime vampire edition?
Yeah, I mean, like, to me, like, I'm trying to work out a way to say what I mean. Like, you know, it's not like you can sort of allude to the culture, but it's, you know, saying that people from this culture always come back in this particular way,
yeah,
or whatever, which prohibits them in a way from exploring vampire legends from other places with people of that heritage.
I think,
you know what I mean?
yeah, it just seems like they have to be this particular type. Like, they can come back as kindred if they're embraced by kindred that are Western, but it just, I think I would have preferred it if they were going to be vampires.
It's a bit restrictive because that's like saying, you know, like if you get different types of spirits or whatever, that's like saying that, you know, a white British person, if they came back from the dead as a spirit or a ghost, like, you know, like if it was a female, it would only be a white lady or something, you know, when it's actually the nature of what happened to that person and their lived experience, rather than you're from this culture, so that you have this like prescribed for you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think obviously the thing is I'm happy with ghosts from Asia being like the typical the Grudge Ringu kind of style, because that is about the reason why a ghost would haunt in a particular way is based upon the culture that's built up. But I don't know, I just feel like Kindred of the East feels like a way of being super special, because if you're Asian they have to be different and special, just in the way that gypsies had to be these magical people because they were just gypsies, which they're not. They're just Roma. They're just traveller. You know, let's not even use the word gypsy. I'm now just feeling sick of using it.
Yeah, let's not.
So anyway, we're gonna get into that. You're gonna have me, Mike, Chig, and whoever else on the show gets on that, and we're just gonna have a good old chat about it and try and work out where we're gonna go with it in V5, because I think where V5 it might sync up better is because V5 is pushing more than ever that Cain, as the progenitor of vampires, is more of a myth than ever, and I'm dicking around with that now. I'm playing with that in our Chronicle even. So, and there's this idea of Gehenna isn't just one event; it's multiple Gehennas have happened. So actually, our Kindred of the East, they are actually a bloodline, but related to another progenitor, perhaps from an age before Cain or parallel to him.
Yeah.
So we don't know, like, we accept that, Cain is a child of Adam and Eve, but, you know, that's only part of the truth. Because if you think about it, Adam and Eve came from the Garden of Eden, yet they still had children who bred with other humans. And if you mostly look at Eastern mythology, you'll have again these, you know, humans that were perfect from the gods who then went and spread with other humans. So there might be parallels in there. So I think it might be better to play with that. And then, if you really want to sow some seeds of, oh, what the fuck is going on, have some vampires. I say vampires, I mean risen, who are like the classic Kindred of the East, but you make it more matter of fact that they are just Eastern risen. Because again, in our game, we've had in the first episode of our V5 game, we've had a risen, a wraith attack you. And I had him as a breath drinker, because I thought, with these undead creatures who also blank bodies, which is what the Second Inquisition knows, it just adds that extra bit of, oh, the Second Inquisition have come after us, and yet they've gone after who's this guy? He's not a vampire, but he is something else, and he is something undead. And that's even more fun because we're going to get cults of the blood gods soon. I say soon, not soon, next year maybe, from Onyx Path, which details the Giovanni, the Samedi, the Cappadocians, and I'm missing one, maybe the Cassid. So these are the vampire clans, so Kindred, who utilize disciplines that manipulate the dead and the realms of the dead and oblivion and stuff like that. So I think that's a lot of fun to have with ghosts and vampires and them. That'll make Kindred these more interesting.
Yeah, well, when it comes to cultural appropriation in books, you know, there's always, you know, it's never too late to look at it again and revise the content. I mean, they do it with the dictionary all the time. So.
And
I wanted to say, somebody mentioned so we are recording this, so it will be available.
Yes, we'll have a recording
so
this.
So you can watch it again, or look at the lipstick colours again, or whatever you wanted to do.
Recordings of our actual games. I don't like recording our home games, but we do record every so often. Kind of playthroughs, actual plays. So
or a one shot of.
Or a one shot.
Like
so
that, yeah.
I think we might be doing a one shot of something, some other games. We might be playtesting some stuff. Ooh, can't speak of flowers. The other thing is we're gonna finish off because we had Christmas. How was Sabrina?
Yeah, there was a Christmas special of Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, and it was really, really good. The midwinter episode, and that was just excellent. Really, I don't really want to spoil it if people haven't caught up on it yet.
The good elements I got from it was they got into they really played up the pagan roots
Yuletide,
of Christmas.
Yeah.
So that was really just good to see that.
And trying to, you know, they were trying to protect a baby, so they had that kind of element of, you know, the sort of Christian element of as well of there being, but it's a little girl baby they were trying to protect from a demon and stuff like that. So that was a lot of fun.
Okay. Is there anything else I can think of? So I think that's it. What are we gonna do for the next Twitch stream? We'll have to watch some horror movies. There's some new ones out. What have we watched recently? What's that one? Truth or Dare?
Oh, that wasn't that good.
That wasn't that good.
No.
Was there another one we watched that was good?
Stillborn started off really good, but then kind of fell into the usual, like, lady is crazy and hallucinating tropes and have to protect the baby, but then ends up doing really insane things to do so because she thinks a demon's after a baby, or is there a demon after a baby, and you know.
Oh yeah.
So it had some really good visuals at the beginning, which were very spooky, and yeah, it didn't really pan out because they kind of make it as if the premise is that she basically she's pregnant with twins, and she gives birth to the twins, but one of them is stillborn. And the beginning of it is her trying to deal with the loss and the grief, and she's got the one baby in the nursery, and they haven't taken out the other crib yet, so it's opposite and it's empty and things like that, and she hallucinates seeing dead baby in there and stuff, and it's quite harrowing. So they lead you to believe at first that the baby twin that died is haunting the living twin, which would have been way more interesting than what they actually did. So
yeah.
I've seen a few films like that, and you know, some of them are actually quite a lot better than the premise would suggest. You know, so I'll make a list of those sometime, because there's a lot of you know, obviously kind of Rosemary's Baby style, you know, childbirth, you know, pregnancy stuff, like motherhood things out there, and it's a really interesting genre to explore. I know that some people didn't like the trailer for Stillborn on Shudder being shown sort of like publicly, because they were saying it was a bit like triggering if you lost a child or something, which I completely understand, and that is really horrific, so I think it shouldn't have been shown in public places like that. But the complaints just about the subject matter, saying why would you make a horror movie about this, it's not really about the stillbirth, it's just about supernatural events after a stillbirth. And the thing is that often supernatural movies will take a tragedy, let's say you look at Hereditary and stuff, which kicks off with a grandmother's funeral and things like that, and grief and things, and it's hard to know, you know, if you're going to have some things off limits, then how much else is off limits. And you know, pregnancy and kind of the psychology of motherhood and stuff has been a theme in horror movies for a long time, and sometimes it's done really badly, but sometimes it's done really, really well.
I was going to say that what is important about it, as you say, it's not trying to make stillbirths like a plot device. It's more about, again, it's Ghost Stories is about dealing with grief, just in the same way like Wraith deals with grief, and Wraith treats, like, say, there's the classic book, which is Charterhouses of Europe, the Shoah, which deals with, it isn't about playing a Wraith game during the Holocaust, it's about playing a Wraith game after that event and dealing with the grief of it, and dealing with the, you know, dealing with the dead other, you know, Wraiths who were victims of it, and it's dealing with that, of those feelings. It allows you to explore that. And just in the same way with, like, say, Geist, you know, your Geist as a game is not about defeating ghosts per se, but it's about a procedural game in which the ghosts are the victims who you actually can get to talk to and resolve things. So often it's, yeah, dealing with grief is always the main thing. Oh, okay, here we go. How do you feel about Black Dog material that's more edgelordy? Give me an example. I've played Freak Legion. That was for a laugh. That was we had an off day on the Chronicle that we were playing, so you had to take it tongue in cheek. I mean, you can't play Freak Legion very seriously.
I don't know anything about this.
Freak Legion. Okay, here we go. Oh right, we're on to the things that Sam isn't too aware of. Okay, so with Freak Legion, you are playing. So it's for Werewolf the Apocalypse.
Yep.
So you've got werewolves, but you've also got creatures called Fomori, who are kind of like creatures, humans corrupted by spirits, who are corrupted by the worm. They have a chaos kind of element to them. Freak Legion are kind of the mutants created by Pentex, who are this bad, evil corporation that willingly goes out to pollute the world and everything else. They're like, you know, Enron and all these horrible companies that would, like, you know, allow pollution of the seas and so forth. So frequently, and they purposely do this, so they're fighting against werewolves who are trying to protect Gaia, who are working for the wild. So Freak Legion was a joke and gratuitous and ridiculous. If you took it seriously, you need to get your head sorted out.
So it's like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
That, yeah, but cranked up to 11 and injected with a heavy dose of Special K. Yeah, Pentex equals all Captain Planet buddies. Yeah, baddies. Yeah. So yeah, that was awful. I'm trying to think what the other. I'm just going to quickly look up what all the Black Dog books were under that imprint, because so Black Dog was the imprint that White Wolf had to deal with, like, really what they considered at the time troublesome topics. But I think we've come on so far that a topic doesn't have to be troublesome and doesn't have to go under the Black Dog license, because if you're going to write about it, just write about it well, with the right level of tact and respect.
So it's like when Anne Rice writes her erotica.
Okay.
So it's like a pseudonym. Almost.
Well, it's another imprint, but yeah, it's an imprint where they get to go.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Everyone knows that Anne A. Rockefeller is Anne Rice.
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
we know that she wrote those books, so it's not really a pseudonym. Do you know what I mean? A known pseudonym, I suppose, is like an imprint.
Okay, Clan Book Zamishi was printed under Black Dog. Well, not it says not technically, as the imprint did not yet exist. Okay, that book was because it had on the cover the Zamishi face was done so it looked like a vagina.
Right. Why?
Because they do flesh crafting and weird. The Giovanni Chronicles, I've not played him, but I know there's like it deals with topics of like incest because the Giovanni are like that. You know, deal with it in tax. Who cares?
Game of Thrones, so.
K-Knight. Okay, the reason why K-Knight Heresy is considered a Black Dog game is because, or at least a Black Dog book, was because you're looking at heretical Christian cults, and they had to put it under that way because otherwise, you know, people would throw a fit. The thing is, it's Gnosticism. It's only an extension of real world, you know, Gnostic heresies like the Cathars and the Bogomils. So, like, you know, it's just vampire Christians. And if you want, you know, I'm looking over right now at my copy of Lancashire Sanctum. That would have mostly been a Black Dog book. But the thing is, who the fuck cares? Because you need to look at some of the things are gratuitous, like Freak Legion. Other things are simply Black Dog because people don't want their precious religion being looked at in a manner which actually enhances and brings into clear focus the horrific issues with that religion or faith or philosophy or whatever. I mean, tact and doing things tactfully and with balance and with respect, though, I mean, to do these things, because obviously these are works of fiction, but you shouldn't be doing it in such a way like, you know, Christianity's been around for ages, so we can talk about these things, because we have a built-up understanding of what Christianity is and isn't to a certain degree. Whereas, like, in the recent vampire book, the Camarilla book, the issue with that was, it's an ongoing crisis right now with how Georgia is treating homosexual people and their friends and family and so forth. So it doesn't lend anything to that conversation by creating some fiction around it, because that just gives a basis for people that want to brush it under the carpet to go, oh look, all of this is fake. Yeah. Clan Book Barley, they were just assholes anyway. May as well skip it. Mage the Ascension, Destiny's Price, and Dead Magic. I think again because it's talking about like left-handed paths. Childhouse of Europe, yeah, I think was again Black Dog more because it's a heavy topic, but it was treated with respect. Dark Reflection Spectres, yeah, that is like how to play like your dark half in Wraith. Though I can't remember reading that. And any of the other ones, no. So you know, I think some of these things by today's standards fall quite happily under typical. You know, Chronicles of Darkness quite happily treat a lot of these topics, so we don't really need Black Dog anymore. We just need to have good writing that treats these topics.
With sensitivity.
Like, for example, I'm in the stuff I'm going to write in the next the next book for after that follows up Make Blood Boil, which is going to deal with modern Manchester history. I'm not going to say vampires did the 1996 IRA bombing in Manchester. I'm not gonna have vampires did the MEN bombing like literally like a year ago. Is it 2 years? Oh, I've lost track of it now. But recent, like it serves no purpose to do that. Yeah, okay. So that's my view on Black Dog. Other things, other questions. We're gonna do because we did last time. We did about 40. We talked about 40k briefly. What's 40k? So what's Warhammer? Because I've been painting stuff for Warhammer Age of Sigmar, but we've been playing a little bit of Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. So what do you know about what Warhammer is? We're going to start with that, and then we can fill in the gaps. Because it'll be interesting. Because I want to know how much you've absorbed by osmosis of me painting things, playing things, talking about it, and what you know from other nerds.
It's like playing D&D, but better.
Okay, why do you feel it's better?
I don't know, like, I feel like you can kind of mix elements of stuff. Like you can have your kind of Strider style hunter character if you want, but then you can also have like a more horror type Hammer horror folklore character NPC in there. And you know, it's a bit of a mishmash of things, and you know, it can be more fantasy or it can be more folklore horror, or it can be, you know, lots of different things, or like, you know, you can even insert some mystery in there, and that's what I mean. It's just quite a flexible setting that you can have it be a bit more, if you wanted to, a little less serious and a bit more
kooky,
jovial and cartoonish.
Yeah.
And then on the other side of things, you could make it a little bit more, you know, slightly more sophisticated, like in a way like playing Iron Kingdoms.
Yeah.
Has been.
So Warhammer, I'm going to give you the brief overview. Is but you're right. It's a smorgasbord of genres that you can do with it.
Yeah, you can make it really silly if you want to.
Yeah.
But you don't have to.
It can go very silly just because it's very dark and it leads to.
To me, it feels like, I mean, obviously because of, you know, Games Workshop and stuff, it feels like a very British game with British humour, as in, you know, like if you watch like a kind of a British movie like that is horror fantasy but has that kind of, you know, fun sort of, you know, nudge sort of element, Burke and Hare style kind of, like, this is gory and a bit morbid and, you know, but it is also a bit silly and funny at the same time.
A bit satirical.
You know, yeah.
That's because Warhammer and even 40k have their roots in satirising current British politics at the time.
Yeah.
Like, there's a classic picture I saw. I think Howard Ingham may have shared it. There's a goblin in a classic Warhammer Fantasy, like in a Games Workshop publication, that's carrying a war banner, and the picture on it is Margaret Thatcher's face, which says it all, really, right? Okay. So yeah, Warhammer is a smorgasbord, and I think, to me, the kind of funny elements that come out is if you play it quite seriously, the black comedy emerges if in a similar way as when you watch like League of Gentlemen or Inside Number 9, and that's because all of these things are drawing from the same cultural well of weirdness. So Warhammer, the Warhammer world is looks like our world, sort of. Like, you've got the same continents, they're all in the same place. And what happened was that eons ago, the old ones, which were kind of like the Slan, they were lizard-like people, created gateways at the poles of the world to travel to our planet. So these were gateways through the warp, a bit like in 40k. And that was fine. They created all the races. And they created the Lizardmen, who were their main slave race. They created the Elves. They created the Dwarves. They mostly created some of the other races, or they inadvertently caused the spawning of them, like orcs. And then it all goes to shit because the Chaos Gods are trying to get into this world, and the Chaos Gate, the warp gates crash into the poles, and the poles spread out chaos energy. Okay. So they're this place that is in between being material and immaterial, where demons can come through. It's where magic comes from. So the elves, this goes on for 1,000 years. There's a schism with the elves. They split into high elves and dark elves. Dark elves go over to what is basically North America. They have like a blood cult and all this other stuff. The elves leave the old world, our world, Europe, and go to Atlantis, Ulthuan. And the dwarves are in the mountains mining stuff. Over thousands of years, there's also like, you've got Cathay, there's humans there. There's Nippon, there's humans there. In the bit where the deserts, like Mongolia, is like a complete wasteland, and then there's chaos dwarves there, and there's ogres, there's the ogre kingdoms, there's this thing called the Moor, which is a giant thing that eats stuff. Where Africa is, you've got Araby, which is Arabians essentially, but as you go below that, you've got what across the rest of what would be Africa is what's the realm, a kingdom called Khemri. So before the empire rose to power, you had essentially what were ancient Egyptians, and one of my favourite characters, Nagash, was born, and he's basically this priest king, and he fucks over the entire kingdom. He kills everyone because he wants to be Lord of the Dead, and he creates a black pyramid.
I thought you were going to say Lord of the Dance.
Hey, maybe. And he also like, he's got loads of things. He has a lot of shit going on with Skaven, the Rat Men, because he finds this place, this mountain that's got shit tons of warpstone, which is this magically charged stone, this rock. He mines it, and the Skaven come after it, and he kills them, and they kill him. And, you know, it goes crazy. The Skaven is kind of like the Tower of Babel story. So humans build this big tower. The bell rings. It starts raining. It collapses. It rains warpstone, and the rats grow big and fat and humanoid.
Yeah.
They don't exist. And now the Empire, one of their were these kind of barbarian kind of like tribes, and eventually coalesced because they were led by this god king called Sigmar, who defeats things like, he defeats Nagash, he defeats one of the chaos lords that comes down from the north, he defeats the orcs, he befriends the dwarves. What elves exist still in the old world, he makes friends with, and he creates the empire. There's also Bretonnia, which is basically the French, who are very more medieval knights, whereas the empire is more faux Renaissance. Then you've got Talia, which is faux Italy, and then Estalia, which is faux Spain, and they, you know, various. So it's a mashup of all those kind of historical points that are kind of cool to create a weird fantasy setting that has Tolkien elements, but also kind of like the chaos elements. So the bits with chaos, and where Warhammer, the roleplay game, is kind of familiar, is that it's a bit like it draws from the same similar elements from like Call of Cthulhu with the madness. Yeah, so we've got a lot of stuff to do in Warhammer. So we're going to be hopefully running some of that. We've been doing some random character generation and some regular character generation. You're going to go exploring my favourite part of the Warhammer world, the damned city of Mordheim. So that's fun. So, and it's going to get a bit weird. It's going to get a lot weird. It was weird last time we played it. It was weird the time we played it before. But I think that's it, because we're now over an hour. That's more than enough to do this, because it's now like 1 o'clock in the morning here, and I'm quite loud, and there's people.
And you're holding me hostage talking about Warhammer.
Yeah, I know. Right, if you've got any questions, ideas, anything you want to see, just email us at darkdaysradio@gmail.com. If you want to get in contact with us, we are also on Facebook at Dark Days Radio, Twitter at Dark Days Radio. I know Wood Elves, I'm sorry, but they do exist in Age of Sigmar. They've got some really cool minis. You can find us on Instagram at Dark Days Radio. You can find Sam on Instagram at Sam Capral Photo with OTO. You can find us on our blog, where we'll be putting up some more stuff about film reviews, book reviews, game reviews, miniatures, make-up-y things, anything else that's fun and interesting. Oh, I didn't mention the Wood Elves. I know, but there's a lot to say about Warhammer. There's so much to say about Warhammer, it's hard. And is there anything else? Is that it? That's all the contact. So, and obviously, stay tuned for the next episodes of Dark Days Radio, because, like I said, there's going to be a bit of a changing format. But that's everything. So I think that's it.
Yep.
Yeah, so bye for now.
Bye.